Hello, everybody. Always Dizzy here. I'm back with the final round from the 2022 Jack Taylor Memorial. Um, as a reminder, um, the first round I beat an 1800 rated player, and then I lost to two 1900 rated players in rounds 2 and 3. And then in the fourth round, I just finished beating a 1750 player. And so I was feeling very good at this point, very happy because even if I lost the last game, I would still feel very good because I was in the premier section. I was the by far the lowest rated player in the section, and my score was 2 out of 4, and I should have seen a rating gain at this point. Um, a pretty good rating gain. That's the benefit of playing up a section. Um, After round 4, um, previously I in the other rounds and stuff, I walked back to my hotel. Um, but in this one, since I didn't have a whole lot of time between before my next round started, I didn't want to cut it that close, so I just went to the closest place I could find, which was a Dairy Queen, and I had a burger, and then I went back to the tournament area for round 5. There was a game still going about 5 minutes before the fifth round, so they didn't have the pairings up until the very last moment. So I couldn't prepare at all. But generally, in the second game during the day, there's not really time to prepare, anyways. Turns out I was paired against Jonathan Moore, who is a player that actually said hi to me it was about a year ago or so, and just said that he knows me from my YouTube videos, and so every tournament since then, he's always kind of stopped by and said hello, and we've talked a little bit. Um, and the funny thing is, earlier in this tournament, he said that he wants to play me, uh, which I'm not sure how I should take. You know what I mean? Because um, so he watches my videos, so he knows kind of what I play and my style and everything, and I don't know anything about him. So I got a bit lucky because this was a 5 round tournament, and I actually got white for the third time. You know, it's a little bit of luck there. Sometimes you get 3 blacks, sometimes you get 3 whites. I got my third white, and yeah. So yeah, Jonathan Moore rated 1699. He's probably going to watch this video, I'm sure. So hello, Jonathan, if you're watching. Yeah, he's normally around 17 in the 1700s. Um, and I think he might have moved here from the east coast of Canada like a year or two back. What else to say? That's about it. I was a little bit interested what he was going to play against me. And okay, so here we go. I played. Whoops. I also want to mention that it kind of sucked. I was on this board. We were kind of further down from where I had been playing, and on this table there was 3 boards on the table. The only table in the whole event that had 3 boards on a table. Most of them had. I mean, every other table had 2 boards. So this one we were all squished together like sardines, and it was quite uncomfortable. And I'm sitting at the very end, and like it's hard to, you don't really have any leg space, and I'm sitting right where the legs, like the table legs are, and it's just awkward, and it wasn't a cool table. Okay, anyways, I played e4, and he played d6, which I don't know, it surprised me a little bit for some reason. I don't know why. Probably because I don't see it very often in tournament play. Um, yeah, but I'm not sure if I should say this on stream. I guess I will, or not on stream, but on the video. Like I hate playing against the Pierts. It's one of the most hated openings I hate that I play against. I don't really fear it. I just don't like playing against it. I don't find it enjoyable, and I often get my move orders mixed up. So, um, yeah, to be honest, I was pretty angry to see this. I played d4. I played knight f6. I played knight c3. But I was feeling good. Like even though it appears, I was just feeling really good because again, I had just finished winning against that 1750, who in round four, and that opponent drew two national masters in the first two rounds. And then I also beat the 1800 in round one. So I was feeling really good. I felt like I can lose this game and it'll be fine. Like, it'll be more than fine. I was happy no matter what. I was having a fantastic tournament. So I was just feeling good. I was a bit tired, the last round of the event. But, everyone's going to be tired at this point. And, the weather was fantastic. The sun was out. And I don't know. I was feeling quite good. He played g6, bishop e3, and he played c6. And yeah, I spent a bit of time here because I was trying to remember the nuances between a6 and c6 here. And I had spent a significant amount of time doing this about a month ago or maybe 4 to 6 weeks ago. And so I was trying to remember the differences and I couldn't fully remember them, but I had some ideas in mind. But I did, pause here for quite a while before playing my next move. I played queen d2. My opponent thought maybe I might play f3, g4. We analyzed the game afterwards, so I know some of his thoughts about the game. He played b5. That's kind of the whole point of c6, is to prepare b5. I played bishop d3. He plays knight b d7. And when he played this, I was a bit surprised because I thought this was a kind of a weird sideline, but apparently it's main line. So it shows how little I know about this opening. It's apparently it's main line. But generally, these types of positions move well. It's not so sharp that you can't play different moves out of order and so forth. There is flexibility in such a position. I played knight f3, and then he played knight g4. And I didn't think black could play this way in the Pierts. And I felt that his play is probably too unfocused because for me, this reminds me of the characteristics of the Dragendorf, where black plays both properties of the Najdorf and the dragon. And the problem with the Dragendorf is that black is he's got his hands in too many cookie pots. He's trying to do everything at once. And that's what reminded me of this position, because black is trying to expand on the queen side, but then he's also, he hasn't finished doing stuff on his king side, and now he's trying to attack me over here. And it seemed like, he's far too, it just felt like black is too unfocused here. And when I played knight f3, I thought I was prepared. Like, if he played knight g4, that's no problem, because in the game I just played bishop g5, which is pretty thematic when black plays knight g4 in such positions. He played h6 fairly confidently and quickly. I played bishop h4. He played g5. And at this point, he's just digging a deeper hole for himself. But I'm not surprised if he played g5, because if he plays knight g4, he's probably going to follow up with h6, g5. Otherwise, knight g4 doesn't really make sense. And I went bishop e3, and he played bishop g7. And then I played h4. And h4, and I was feeling quite good. And I knew he wasn't feeling good because because there's like, if you excuse me, if you flip the board and look at it from Black's perspective, what is Black going to do? The position just looks terrible for Black. He can't really castle either side now. And what's he going to do about my threat on a threat of h takes g5, right? That's a big threat. So, yeah, I played h4 and I thought for a bit, I mean, I sat at the board for a bit, but then I thought that I was much better here already. And when he played knight g4, I kind of knew that he didn't really know the opening, and he doesn't really know, like, no offense, Jonathan, if you're watching, but yeah, like, he didn't really know the ideas of the opening. So I kind of got up and walked around to look at some other games and stretch my legs, because I thought he might be thinking here for a bit. And he was thinking for a bit. And actually, I was a little bit sneaky. I went to the other side of the room and was just leaning against the wall, just just stretching my legs, and also watching him think about the position from afar. And then I could see him, like, not happy, like looking over, and he's like, oh. And then and then that just builds up my confidence. But I mean, I already loved my position. I mean, I felt Black was in very bad shape here, but it always helps to see your opponent frown and not be happy at the board. That's also one benefit of walking away from the board, because your opponent might be more open to revealing some of those feelings. But yeah, he was not a happy camper, nor should he be here. So after a bit of a think, he took on h4. It's kind of the only move he can play. And I had a bit of a choice here. If I was better with my time management during the game, I would have stayed at the board and decided how I was going to recapture. But again, I was a little bit tired because it was the last game of the tournament, and I don't know. I didn't feel it necessary to do so. Taking him with the knight is interesting, but then I was a little bit concerned of something. I was concerned of something, but I can't quite remember what it was. I'm just trying to remember right now. I don't remember what it was. I was, yeah, it seemed playable, but yeah, I didn't play knight takes h4, and taking with the bishop seemed fine too, but I also talked myself out of that as well. So I ended up taking with the rook. I kind of like that I am still on the H file, and I'm I should have brought water, and then I'm attacking g4 at the same time. He played knight b6. H5, I think the computer slightly preferred, because it allows bishop h6, gives Black a little bit of play there. And here I played knight e2. Now, what's interesting is the computer doesn't really like knight e2. It actually wants me to castle queenside here, but I thought that was kind of risky. I mean, Black's got a lot of potential here, like b4, a5. The queen could go into a5. His bishop is still looming, and I felt very, like, I really liked my position. I thought I was probably not winning, but much better. Like, I really liked my position, and I don't know. Casting just feels way too risky for me, but the computer says we're safe. I actually thought my king was quite safe just staying in the center because black isn't really going to castle, probably. He might castle queenside potentially, but my king is pretty safe in the center. So I didn't feel the need to castle, and I played knight e2. I forget exactly what my plan was. I played this game a while ago now. I think I was just basically preemptively going to knight e2 because of if he plays b4, and I forget if I was going to go to knight f4. I forget what my plans were here, but okay. So he plays knight c4, and I took. So I do give up the bishop, but there's a little tactic here. So after b takes c4, I played queen b4, and I'm attacking c4, which he can't defend. Trying to remember why. If bishop a6. Oh yeah, sorry, bishop a6 and then he drops the knight. That's right. Yeah, so there's that little tactic. Now instead of queen b4, the computer actually prefers either castling still or e5. But yeah, I mean that's computer talk. I'm going to go for the free pawn. Yeah, I don't know. E5 and castling, that's above my pay grade. That's too complex for me to really. I mean, I'll go for the c4 pawn. Okay, and he plays a5 because he can't hang on to the pawn. I take the pawn. He plays queen b6, which is a pretty good move, getting some counterplay, threatening to maybe double up on the b file. I played queen b3, offering a trade because I am up a pawn, and even though he has a bishop pair, my pawn structure is probably better as well, and my king is safer. But basically, I'm just up a pawn, so I'm totally fine with trading here. And if he trades, I can also open up the a file. Let me there we go. If he takes my queen, I can also, so I'll have rooks on the only two open files on the board, the a and the h files, and I'll be up a pawn, and I would be pretty pleased to play that position. But he denies the trade, which makes total sense because he wants to give himself chances to win. You know, I am rated what 250 points lower than him, which is significant. So he really wants to shoot for the win. I played rook d1, which my opponent Jonathan thought was interesting. There were a lot of stronger options. No, there were a lot of options that were stronger, but not by a whole lot. Rook d1 was fine. Again, I didn't want to commit to castling queenside because again, I just thought it could be dangerous. I mean, again, there's rook b8, not not immediately, but potentially rook b8 eventually. He could castle and then bring the other rook in, and then with the a pawn, and then his bishop is still looming. I didn't want to play into that. So rook d1, he plays a4. I played queen d3, queen a5, and we kind of just go into a little bit of a maneuvering here. Queen d2, keep offering him a trade. Queen b6, he keeps declining it. I played c4. I didn't want to defend the b2 pawn like directly or b3. B3, I didn't like a takes b3. I think his rook starts to get pretty strong, or even a3. Well, a3, I don't know. That might have been okay, but I was a little bit worried about him taking on b3, and now his rook is suddenly active. Like rook, he could go rook a2, for example. And if I took with the other pawn, so if b3, ab, cb, I don't know. I still didn't like how open his rook was. That still felt dangerous to me. He could then play maybe bishop a6. He's getting some counterplay there. So I played c4, and he played c5. Now this was a mistake because it allows my knight to jump into these two squares that are no longer covered by c6 pawn. So my knight can now jump into these two lovely squares. Because this knight on e2 is really not doing very much right now. And if we can get it here, that will advance our position, give us more space. So that's what I do. I go knight c3. He takes on d4. I take back. And then he makes a blunder, which, when I talked to him after the game, he liked his move initially, and then I was very adamant about how much I hated it for him, and then he kind of agreed with me. I had to convince him though. He played a3, and this was an easily avoidable blunder for black. Like I don't win material or anything, but yeah. So here I played b3, right? Now I have this phalanx of pawns that are very strong, and it worsens his light squared bishop even more. He has no play on the queen side anymore. This is completely locked down to him. So I'm, at this point I'm just up a pawn, and my position is better. Like his pieces are not coordinated. Like these are all very awkward pieces. Like, none of those are working together. And I'm attacking his knight. I've got central control with my knights. I've got a battery. I'm just reading my notes here. So his idea with a3 is that he felt that this could become dangerous long term. I think he thought maybe he gets his queen here late game or something. Yeah, that's a potential concern, but I'm always going to have my eye on that, and a lot would have to happen for that to be a concern. Okay, anyways, after I played b3, he played h5. Then here I was deciding between either knight d5 or knight db5. And I think the computer ends up preferring knight d5 slightly, but I talked myself out of it because I saw some lines with knight d5 that I was a bit uncertain of, and at this point I was down to 22 minutes, and yeah, I don't know, I just kind of talked myself out of it, but it was kind of a coin flip. It was very close between knight d5 and knight db5, but I played knight db5, and he played bishop b7. Then I played knight d5. He took, because I'm threatening knight c7, and it's just a strong knight overall. So he took. I took with the queen. I could have taken with a pawn, but taking with the queen, I have this double attack on a8 and h5, and it just centralizes my queen. I mean, what's not to like? He played queen a5 check. I played king e2. I didn't go for king f1 because I just liked having access to to have my rooks more mobile on the back rank. Plus, I thought king e2 it just helps control some other squares as well. So I played king e2. He plays knight f6. And I don't have my score sheets in front of me anymore. I think we were both in a little bit of, we weren't in time trouble, but we were getting down there a little bit. Like, I'm not sure. I wish I had my score sheet. I could go check it out, but probably we had like 15 minutes or something about. He played knight f6. I took on a8. He didn't really have a whole lot of moves here. Like, I don't think this was the best move for him, but he's kind of in trouble because I'm going to take on a5 next move. and he can't defend it. That's why he played knight f6. But I'm going to take here next, and then what's he like? What is he going to do? Start crawling up, defending more, and then I'm going to go here, right? So he didn't really have any moves to play. But yeah, so he played knight f6. I took on a8. He took back. I gave a fork. King d7. Knight takes a8. Rook takes a8. Then I played e5. And then he resigned here, which I appreciated. It was a respectful resignation instead of playing on, for another 15, 20 moves, because if anyone is wondering, I mean, black is just completely lost here. He's down 2 pawns? No, just 1 pawn, but it's going to be just completely, everything's going to collapse now. Like, first of all, he has to move the knight somewhere. And then I could either take on h5 or I could take on d6, which is probably what I would do. And he can't recapture because I have 2 pieces on it. I have 2 passed pawns here. I mean, there's no chance for black. I would have to make an incredible number of blunders for black to have any chance here. So he resigned. And yeah, I was feeling incredible. This was literally the best. This was the best tournament I've ever had, or at least the best performance I've ever had. And I'm actually going to make a separate video on that, discussing, I'll tell you what my rating was after this tournament, what my performance rating was, and some other things. So that'll be in an upcoming video. But let me just get back to this tournament. But yeah, so after I was feeling great. This was I scored 3 out of 5 in the Premier section. I actually ended up finishing. Let me just open up that I'm going to open up this in a browser window here, unless they've removed it. No, it's still here. Okay. So, yeah, I remember I was the lowest. So in this tournament, there were 3 sections: the under 1,000 section, under 1,600 section, and then the Premier section. I was the lowest rated player going in out of 30 players in the Premier section. And I finished, and I actually tied for 3rd overall in the Premier section. And I actually won the under 1,800 section. I actually, I shared that prize with another player who also scored 3 points. But he was rated 1769. I was rated 1460. So like I won the under 1,800 prize. It was normally like $225, I think. But since I had to split it with this other player, we each got $113 for that class prize. Yeah, sorry. So I'm just looking at the results here. I actually tied the same performance as another national master. No, as a national master. I'm not a national master. I tied the performance of a national master, and I beat the performance of another national master. There was a national master that scored 2 out of 5, and then a national master that scored 3 out of 5, and then some that scored higher. So just a fantastic tournament for me. 3 out of 5. And going into the tournament, I was, I didn't know how it would go. I was prepared to lose all my games. And I was just looking to have maybe one upset, to give one upset, and to just kind of get on the board there. But I actually ended up doing very well. I did. So very surprising. The best tournament I've ever played, not in terms of overall score, but in terms of performance rating, and in terms of how much rating I actually gained from this. So for those like longtime viewers, you might know that I usually have really poor tournament performances. Finally, I get a really good one, or the best one I've ever had. So we have a Cinderella story at the end of this one. So yay, right? Okay. So stay tuned for my next video, where I will go into more details about the rating numbers of my tournament performance from this one. Okay, thanks for watching. See you next time.